start Monday, March 4th, 2024 meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for the community we live in. We thank you for all those who serve here. We ask for your continued hand of protection upon our schools, our police, our fire, our service, and our administration. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Matt. Ms. Rowley, roll call, please.
Mr. Scholes,
Here.
Mr. Smolik,
Here.
Ms. Simons,
Here.
Mr. Ziegler,
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Here.
Ms. Grazia,
Here.
Mr. Hamer,
Here.
Full house. Okay, on to the reading and approval of the minutes of the February 21st, 2024 work session.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any changes or discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Yeah, to the minutes of the February 21st, 2024 council meeting. Need a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We'll give it to Sue. Okay. Any changes or discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. Smolik. The formal report was sent out today. You should all have it. And other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief Hutton? You can discuss a little bit. You had a little event today over in Wade Hill. Little brush fire or something?
Right. Yeah, we were dispatched over to Metcalf Road for a brush fire. Willoughby Hills, covers that area. They requested Kirtland right away. It was caused by a power line, so they weren't able to put water on the fire for a little bit. And the fire was rapidly spreading up the hillside toward Kirtland, toward Elm Street. So, they dropped a Mavis box for brush fire trucks. Our brush fire truck, our ATV were there. They were able to get it knocked down pretty quick. We also had the drone team come out. They were able to deploy the drone, get it up in the air, use the camera, the infrared, look for hot spots, be able to see how far the fire spread. So it really didn't spread that far, so we were able to get it knocked down and get everybody back in service.
Excellent. Where are they? Where's the drone team located? Are they out of Mentor or are they?
Drone team, the drone is actually, there's quite a few drones. They have different size in Lake County, but they're stored on Hazmat 1, which is at Willoughby Fire Station 1. So it's dispatched through Willoughby, but there are drone pilots all over the county. So they'll come from different communities to fly their drone.
Oh, obviously the equipment's so small they bring it in their own vehicle, pop it up, that type of thing.
Well, not really. I mean, all the county drones are on the Hazmat.
Okay.
So just the pilots themselves will come. Today an East Lake police officer, Holden Arboretum Police, Lake County Sheriff, they all came out to fly the drones.
Thanks, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. I sent my reports out as well. I apologize I didn't send the January report out. I think I got that out to everybody. I just want to give an update with Lieutenant Fisher. He finished his Certified Law Enforcement Executive Program. He asked me not to put anything out on Facebook or anything, so I just want to let you know that he just spent all of 2023 doing several different projects and coming up with a peer support program for the police department in the event that we have a critical incident, officer-involved shooting, and he was able to take a lot of that information and research and implement it into our policies and procedures so we can have a list of things to do and incorporate in the event that we do have something like that to get the officers the support and help that they need. That'll conclude my report for tonight, but I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief McAllister? Chief, for that training, what is there, like 4 or 5 different segments of that training that they do that through the course of the year that Jamie did?
Yeah, they meet, I believe it's 6 different times throughout the year for 2 days each. And in between that training, you have certain projects, reports, different areas of law enforcement that you're focusing on that all culminate into a final project that you do and you present in front of a panel of police chiefs. And that capstone that he completed will be archived and filed with the OACP. So anybody looking to do that research in the future will be able to access that and use it to help them with their projects.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? Thank you. Mr. Fernaro?
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start off with thanking our team. We had a little challenging snow event, not a lot of snow, but the timing of it was right during rush hour, right when the school buses were ready to go. So they did a great job clearing that. And we've also continued with our ditching. We're able to complete a lot of ditching this winter with the weather we had. So great job to our team. And that completes, we've been pretty busy with construction season starting. I'm not going to take all of Mr. Courtney's report, but we had a pre-con for the Old Town Sewer project, and the bridge project is also getting ready to start. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Fernaro. Any questions for Mr. Fernaro? Thank you. Mr. Courtney?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. 24 Streets project, we're still working through finalizing that. Joe mentioned the Old Town Sewer improvements. We did have a pre-construction meeting on Friday. Contractor provided their proposed schedule to me today. He didn't have it at the pre-construction meeting, just kind of a sequence of how he was going to work through the job, but he got me the schedule today. So here we go. They plan to mobilize to the site this week. They will install mainline sewers on Maple between the 12th and April 8th. March 12th and April 8th. Mainline on Caudry between April 9th and April 22nd. Then they'll move to Fairview. That'll be April 23rd through May 20th. They'll do the Elm Street main lines from 521 to 65. Joseph Street will be the last main line installation between June 6th and July 8th. And then after all the main lines are in, they'll fall back and install laterals. That'll be between 7/9 and 8/28. And then all the testing, restoration, pavement repair, et cetera, will be from the end of August through mid-November. Bridge projects, as Joe mentioned, 306 Bridge project is getting ready to start. Booth Road Bridge, no updates on that, other than what I reported at the last meeting, which is they've been delayed, and the county's supposed to provide an updated schedule for that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Any questions?
And I wasn't sure who to direct them to if they had questions about where, because they just feel like the tie-in is going to require a lot more than it needs to from a piping standpoint, I guess.
Understood. When we designed those plans, we weren't sure where people were going to want to go, so a lot of them landed right in the middle of the property.
Okay.
Knowing that as the main lines are being installed, the county inspector will be out in front of the main line installation, speaking to each resident to make sure their lateral connection is where they want it to be.
Okay.
So we covered that in the pre-construction meeting on Friday as well. And I asked the county to make sure they were far enough ahead of that main line installation so that people had some time to decide, that it wasn't, hey, we're going to be here tomorrow, we need to know right now, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So.
Is
Yeah.
it okay if they move them themselves? Because that's
No,
what
please
people
do
have been
not.
saying. Okay.
Please do not move them yourself.
I'll let them know. Okay.
You could have them reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to meet them down there and with the inspector.
Okay. Great.
Mr. Hamer, you had a question? No? Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Just curious, obviously, with the bridge project and the Old Town project going up, do you expect much hassle or them guys tripping on each other?
We talked about that in the pre-con, and Shivers is well aware of the bridge project going on, so they're going to accommodate, with any of their trucking and anything else.
Mr. Fenaro?
I forgot to mention, I'll be meeting with ODOT engineers on Wednesday for the bridge project to clear up some issues down.
Okay, I figured you guys had it in line, so thank you.
Just for clarification on the bridge project, that was determined by ODOT and kind of imposed on us, correct? We didn't have much say in the when and the how.
I think it was supposed to be done last year originally, right? But then there were no bids came in on it, so they pushed it off to this year.
Okay, because I had a couple phone calls about, did we have the ability to push back on how the plan was done or anything like that? And my guess was that it was kind of imposed on us and we didn't have a lot of.
Yeah, state route, state
ability to push
project.
back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a state bridge. They decided it needed to be replaced and, scheduled it for replacement, and here we are. We did have an opportunity to review the plans as they were being developed.
Thank you.
So Julie, have them call the county and yell at them and not you, okay? Anything else from Mr. Courtney? Mr. Slapnicker?
Thank you, Council President Smolik. We had our second of 3 budget meetings this evening. Thought we had some really good discussion, so we look forward to having that again at our next meeting. I have no other things to report on, but I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Slapnicker? And thanks again, Louis. Fantastic job in the budget meetings. You do such a good job with the detail and keeping it simple. On to Mayor Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a couple things to add for tonight's meeting. We do have the resolution ordinance 24018 amending a recently passed codified ordinance which addresses engine braking. We're essentially just removing the trademark name or the registered name of the company just to keep it as generic or general as possible. I do ask that be passed by way of the waiver of 3 readings tonight. Regarding other legislation on the agenda, I know we have some second readings for the appropriations. Wasn't sure about council's appetite for waiving the 3 readings on 24014 regarding the competitive bidding to keep that in line with the state policies or state law. If you want to waive those 3 readings today, just that might help with various purchasing throughout the city. Aside from that, I have nothing new to add unless you have questions for me.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Mr. Lallo? And I don't think council have any issues with amending the amendment was 24018 and then passing 24014. That correct, sir?
Correct. And again, the competitive bidding, really all that does is that it increases the threshold from which the city has to solicit bids. Council still has to approve of them, those purchases. So it doesn't take away. So the mayor's spending authority stays the same at 25,000 or less. It's just, it increases the ability to go out and make that transaction without having to set it for bid and still get council's approval. That's the only difference.
And basically, correct me if I'm wrong for the public, that goes from 50,000, we have to go out for a competitive bid, to 75,000 to increase that. Obviously, everything costs a lot more. Even like a police car used to be 34,000. It's going to be, 62,000 this year. So that allows us, as opposed to going out for competitive bid, if we find something, sooner or different type thing, we can theoretically buy that vehicle without going to a competitive bid. So,
Correct.
So it allows the city to a few more options, so to speak. So good thing overall. And that's going to increase by inflation rate annually after that?
I believe it's 3% each year.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Lallo, is there any downfall in that change? I know that it's something that the state wants us to follow. We probably don't have to do this, right? I guess I'm just trying to understand if there is a downside to it.
Well, it's just the delay in purchasing. So, for example, last year regarding the police cruisers, we had difficulties keeping it, because one of the vendors wasn't under the state bid process, so we'd have to keep it under 50,000 to make sure that transaction went through without having to set it for bid, for bids, And then if that was the case, then you can't buy that, like you're not gonna be able to buy that car, or buy it in the right period of time. So it could either like delay the purchases, or just kind of unnecessarily complicated. For example, I mean, I think a good example is the police cruisers nowadays where they're at 62,000. Not every one of those retailers are on state bid, so then we'd have to technically solicit the bids for it, right? So I think that's a good example of one, but you can just, yeah, I think it keeps the flexibility. Again, council still has to approve of those purchases regardless of whether it goes out to bid or not.
Okay. Thank you much, Mr. Lallo. Any other questions for Mr. Lallo? And Ms. Sari, if you'd like to give us an update on the Community and Senior Center?
Good evening, everybody. Just very, very quickly, I know this sounds like it's a very long time away, but we are looking at some June events right now. If anyone asks, and I know people will, Safety Town is scheduled for June 3rd to the 7th, and that registration will open to residents the first week of April. That fills up very, very quickly. It is on our Facebook, so we'll be putting more out about that this week. And just so council is aware, we are working with Holden Arboretum. They will be offering, again, as per discussion last year, a free Holden Week for Kirtland residents. So we're working on those dates, looking at data from last year and how we can make that better this year. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sari. Any questions for Teresa? Thanks again, Teresa. Much appreciated. On to the mayor, Mayor Potter.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Just a reminder that on Saturday, we're going to have the Shamrock Shuffle. It'll start here at City Hall. It's a 5K race. Extra proceeds that are raised will go to the Miracle League of Lake County. I talked about that last meeting. So 10 o'clock race run starts here, finishes it across the street at the Kirtlander, where there will be, I know music's going to happen. You're going to have food and beverage for purchases. I think there's a raffle of some sort. So it's been a good time the last couple of years. Different challenges with weather, so hopefully we can run a quick race and get inside. Chances are it'll be 70 degrees then this year. Good discussion in our work session, so thanks to everybody with thoughts, ideas, concerns, questions. That's what this is all about, just working through these things and as a group, as a team, and finding where our differences are and see how we move through those things. So thanks to everybody on that. Back to the bridge, Senator Serino did call me yesterday. He was unaware of the project and he had concern about the southbound only traffic. Thanks to Mr. Courtney and Mr. Finaro for both answering their phones on Sundays. Walking through it, it does make the most sense. I think the thing that ODOT looks at is keeping traffic from backing up on the off ramps coming off the freeway. So, kind of walking through that with Doug and Joe, it really does seem to make the most sense. Senator Serino was going to put a call into ODOT as well, though, just to make sure that there wasn't something else that can be done to mitigate. His big concern was ours originally is how does that affect Kirtland businesses, right? I mean, my morning commute will be probably add 6-7 minutes, but I can deal with that and I can handle that. I go elsewhere for work, but the concern with Kirtland businesses, people coming here and supporting. And so I think with southbound traffic, I think the one area that maybe up in like the west end of Menor would probably have the hardest time getting here. But, hopefully it doesn't impact our businesses too much. And if anybody has any, we all know the ways to get around things here. So when you're talking to somebody and they think they go this way or that way, give them that, especially if they're from another city and they want to come here and spend money at one of our restaurants, one of our businesses, tell them about the shortcuts. And then back to the Old Town update, as far as timeline, we will definitely get a Facebook post up right away, just so, and again, this timeline, as Doug said, is going to be, it'll move, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to get before the residents and tell them kind of what to expect and when to expect it. Now, last year they were pretty good. I think they hit, maybe not the exact dates, but they were pretty darn close on just about everything on their projections. So, and thanks to Doug and Joe for all of their hard work and getting that to where we are today. I know it's a county project, but certainly our residents, there's a lot of anxiety about that. So, and I am open for any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Potter. Any questions for the mayor?
Mayor, has there been any discussion with Ohio Gig? Has occurred?
Yeah, actually, well, not any more discussion. I know Jim Gibbs was trying to get another meeting set up. I think Joe and Jim and I, was it Wednesday, Joe? Friday. We're gonna have a noon phone call, just to kind of go over some of the things that Jim and Ohio Gig have talked about. Jim being our IT director. So no, nothing. We haven't any more sit down meetings since the last one.
Okay. Phone system, same.
Mid March, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Okay, on to standing committee reports. Any standing committee reports? I believe we have a utility meeting afterwards. Mr. Haber?
Yes.
Okay. Any other standing committee reports?
Yeah.
Just to follow up, we had the February 24th meeting to review the road plan. So I'll get that information out hopefully by the end of the week to the council and to Denise.
Sure, that's right. Sure. Good.
Okay. Would like to set up a police and fire committee meeting. That's myself as the chair, Julie and Ron, you guys on that. And Chief, you had mentioned that you're going to be out for a bit. When would be your earliest availability?
I'm not sure how much time we need to set it up, but I'll be here Friday. I'll be off on Friday and then all of next week. I don't know if we could meet this week or the week of the 18th when I get back.
Okay, you mentioned that you might hope to have a representative present. Is that something that could be pulled off quickly, or?
Quite possibly, if we could do, I'm not sure what the timing is. If we could do a meeting tomorrow or Thursday, I may be able to get him here.
It's
Thursday. The earliest would be Wednesday,
Yeah.
because we have to give a
notice.
24-hour notice for the meeting. That's all.
I'm not available Wednesday or Thursday this week. That would be too tight for me.
And that's a 3 you were on that, correct?
Yes, sir. Okay. No, the week of the 18th, Chief. Oh, no.
We could probably meet, I like that Saturday. What would it be, the 16th? I should be back.
Okay. Let me check on that Saturday. I don't know about that yet. Where my family's at.
You guys can email back and forth and just make sure you get it to Denise and.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll be in touch with everybody. Thank you. It's obviously open to everybody on council. Would be to discuss pretty much a fire engine, any upcoming fire needs.
That's in the budget.
Capital,
Yeah.
yeah.
So capital expenditures.
Per current.
But we haven't
capital.
set the date, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just so Denise knows the purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, any other standing committee reports? And you guys going to set up the police and fire committee? Okay, on to correspondence. No correspondence at this time. Open up the public comments on matters not on the agenda. Anybody has anything they'd like to say, please step up. Not at this point, thank you. On to old business. Public comments on agenda items of old business. Anything being read tonight? Any discussions on? Thank you. To ordinance number 24-0-7, third reading. An ordinance authorizing actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, 2024 Energized Community Grant and declaring an emergency. This is the third reading.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
I second.
Matt and Sue, thank you. Any discussion or changes on that? This time? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, on to the second reading of ordinance number 24-0-10, an ordinance setting the appropriation for the year 2024. This is the second reading, that will go to the third reading. Resolution number 2024-R-11, second reading, a resolution authorizing transfers of funds and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. Ordinance number 24-0-12, second reading, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of $2,647,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of retiring together with other funds available to the city's outstanding various purpose notes, Series 2023, dated April 19th, 2023, and declaring an emergency. That will also go to a third reading, correct? On to ordinance number 24-0-13, second reading, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of $2,500,000. I always want to say 2.5 million. It's not appropriate though. $2,500,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying costs of improving streets by reconstructing, resurfacing, grading, draining, paving, and making other improvements as designated in the plans approved or to be approved by council, and declaring an emergency. This will go to a third reading. And on to ordinance number 24-0-14. This is the second reading. An ordinance amending section 236.02 of the codified ordinance of the city of Kirtland relating to expenditures and competitive bidding, and declaring an emergency. I believe we wanted to waive this today for
Motion to waive the
discussion.
3 readings.
Second.
Okay, motion to waive by Mr. Ziegler, second by, was that Julie? Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes. Thank you.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt. I second that.
That was the motion. Who was second? Oh, thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes. Okay, on to new business. Any public comments on new agenda items of new business? Not at this time. On to resolution number 24-R-17, a resolution amending resolution number 23-R-78 relating to establishing rules, time, place of council meetings for the period from December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, and declaring an emergency. This was put in because we're moving the April 1st meeting to April 3rd, so we have to redo that. So I believe we wanted to waive the 3 readings and declare an emergency. So
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
I second.
any changes, discussions? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes. We need a motion. Declare an emergency.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Sue. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes. On to ordinance number God bless you. On to ordinance number 24-0-18. An ordinance amending sections 401.125 and 432.44 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland regarding the prohibition of engine brakes within the city and declaring an emergency. We're looking to waive this today and to declare an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? This was per the Jake brake, if you want to explain that again, was just, there was a name.
Exactly. The name of one of the types of engine brakes was used in the legislation, and they kindly asked that it be more generalized as engine brakes. So all we're doing is taking out that name and just using the term of an engine brake.
And they've gone around to just about any city who has this on and
That's exactly
has to
right.
pull it off just because it's, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we had the motion to waive, seconded. Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Council President, just wanted to take I think it's a point of order. When going through a lot of the legislation, there was, just reading through it, this is the second reading, we're going to take it to a third reading. I just want to make sure, like, everyone in council is aware, whenever we do that reading, there's an opportunity for discussion on that
Oh,
legislation.
did I not ask for discussion on that one, on that
Correct.
last one? Sorry.
No, there was a few of them where it was
Okay.
just kind of like going through.
Okay,
So I just
sorry
want to
about
make sure if there is any discussion.
You're right, I did go through that kind of quick. Thank you.
Correct. I know there's a
Okay.
lot of legislation on here, so if there is discussion on some of these, it can be recalled on the agenda and readdressed.
Thank you, Mr. Lellen. And we were on the,
It's really, to be honest, it was 10, starting at 10
Okay.
through 13.
any discussion on anything previous to that? Okay. Now, we're
Yeah.
looking for declare so we're back to
Oh,
this
did we
one?
didn't finish? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Gotta finish
I
this
thought we
up.
were done. I was picking up.
Got to declare emergency? Correct, okay.
Yeah. My apologies.
Okay.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Mr. Ziegler? Ms. Grazia, thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Lallo. On to council comments. Council
So,
comments.
Mr. Council President, I just want to, my apologies for that interruption, but my intent was to make a comment here, just on
Okay.
behalf of council, that if there were discussions that wanted to be had during that legislation, just reading through that, I think it could be a prudent time to do that now if there was a desire to do so.
Okay, so offer
Yeah.
any discussions or changes on anything that we discussed on the three that I missed? That we were all of them in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I thank you, Council President Smolik. I just wanted to speak a little bit about 24013, the potential
Oh,
borrowing of
gotcha, okay.
$2.5 million. And, we had a really good discussion in the work session, and just looking at the payment over time of that note is about $1,050,000 in interest costs. That's no small bit of change. That doesn't include issuance costs. And it's also, some could say it's a deferred tax, right? We're at some point in time going to need more income tax to pay that. So I wanted to kind of bring that to light. That is a significant amount of money to have to repay. In looking at the note for the 2.647 million, some of those interest payments is about $750,000. That's run out on the worksheet that Lewis provided us. So, I understand the want to do this, right? To get the roads fixed, and then the previous one, it was brought up about the legislation relative to amending the charter. And, I pulled it up and it was fairly clear. It was a tax increase on earned income, right? And in 2022, we had that discussion about some type of millage, right? And then it further went on to, millage in perpetuity. These are costs for our roads that, they're not going to go away. So eventually we'll get to a steady state as to where it's more maintenance and not reconstruction and rehabilitation. So, Chief, we understand your needs in terms of your engine, but I wanted to point out, that $1 million in interest costs, it doesn't buy us anything more, right? It's a financing cost. So, just wanted to make that loud and clear.
No, very good point, Mr. Schultz. The only thing I will note, though, by not addressing roads, I don't know, I don't have a number I could put on that. Letting roads go that are, possibly 300,000 this year, letting them go 2-3 more years, that maybe turns into 600,000. I don't have a true schedule on what that would cost, not addressing the roads at the current time.
I
So that might,
understand.
just by way of the offset on it too, so.
No, I
But no,
got
you
it.
made a very valid point, Mr. Schultz. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you much, Councilman Schultz. Any other questions?
Council President Smolik, real quick, I would just like to respond to that just very quickly. And Mr. Schultz, Councilman Schultz, you're 100% correct. Anytime you're having this discussion about, city expenditures, taking on more debt, 100%, you got to look at all of the options, all of the implications. So I would never disagree with that for a second. I would point out, if we look at our debt schedule, that when this council, or the previous council in 2021, authorized $2 million of road notes, that was going to take our city debt to about 5.6 million, I think, at that time. Because of our aggressive, paying that debt down over the last few years, with the addition of 2.5 million today, this council would be agreeing to bring our city debt to about $5.8 million. So about $200,000 difference in those 4 years. And I think it was a little bit more of going out on a limb then, because we hadn't had the tradition of aggressively paying down debt in the past. Whereas I think we've proven to our residents in the last few years that we are not only able to do it, but we are willing to do it. So certainly wanted to bring that up. And then also in 21, prior to that budget season, you, myself, and Mr. Former Council President Rupel, I think he was a councilman at that time, we did sit in that back room. We did talk about and actually the whole idea of the note came with that budget from a good conversation we had in that back room, and it was directed or as a result of you bringing up the idea of using, the flexibility of a note to go out and pave some roads. So just wanted to remind you of that. And again, council, there's gonna be more discussion to come, obviously. This is, it's obviously a serious business. None of us should take this lightly, so I do appreciate you bringing that up tonight. But just wanted to kind of remind everybody of that set of circumstances in the past. So thank you.
What was done in the past, I can't change, but in seriously borrowing $2.5 million needs very serious consideration even today, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman Schultz. Thank you, Mayor Potter. That's through council comments then. Any other council comments?
I have one. The track team says thank you to Joe and the crew that fixed the shot put area. They're really excited about that. So thank you. And there's a wastewater treatment meeting after this. If everyone wants to talk about exciting stuff.
Want to increase the excitement, that's where you go. Scott runs that show. It's tight. Any other council comments? Hold on a sec. Any other council comments? Continuing concerns? Any continuing concerns? Motion for adjournment? All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Festermaker